All right, guys, we are back. This is the continuation of the how and how did Travis and Thomas begin, and I kind of want to touch on a few other things with even Brian and Brad a little bit. I know they're not here to share their story, so we'll wait one day for that in depth. But like Brian, for example, Brian is the person out of all four of us that I've known the longest.
Yeah. Same.
Chris Alvey was my first friend in Grayson County. So when I moved back, we lived on Lewis School Road in Litchfield, and Chris Alvey lived on Little Clifty. Well, my cousin was his next door neighbor, so I used to ride my bike over there. And one day my cousin was like, "Hey, let's go play basketball at my friend Chris's house, or this guy Chris's house."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right." So we go over there, and he's got this barn with a loft that had this basketball court inside. And if you were to see it now, they've redone the barn, and it's not got a basketball court in it, but it's real neat. It's a real pretty barn. But back then, it was like a death trap. Like, you dribble the ball, and it hit a dead spot or a rotten spot in the floor,
Yeah.
and you could fall through. But it was still, to me, it was just this really cool thing. The goal was probably 9.5 foot, so it was kind of easy to shoot on.
That's where you were honing those big boy skills. And
Oh, yeah, man. So
post work.
So Brian and Chris were in the same grade. They were friends. So Brian would come over and play basketball or spend the night with Chris, and I'd always be there. So, that's how that relationship began there.
Same, but Brian. I've known Brian. I remember. I don't remember hanging out with Brian and really being friends with him until probably our junior year, because he was big friends with Nick. They were like best friends, and me and Nick we had known each other since middle school. But I think Brian and I used to talk in middle school as well. And the reason I think that, this is going to sound crazy, but there is a picture in a yearbook of a bunch of kids sitting at a lunch table, and he and I are sitting like really close to each other. So I feel like we probably did talk a little bit in middle school, but I don't remember hanging out with Brian until like junior year. He started coming over because he hung out with Nick, and he would spend the night, and we instantly hit it off, and have been good friends ever since. Brian is about as solid as a friend you can get.
Yeah.
And he's so darn funny. Like, if you could think, like, I don't know what the term would be, but like an underrated funny.
Yeah.
Like, not like over the top, like.
He's not. Yeah, he's not like us. Where we're in your face.
But he can come up with some crazy stuff,
Yep.
and then he's so quick witted too. I think that's what I get from him, is that he can be really sarcastic, but he's a super good guy. So we hit it off and have been friends ever since. And Brad, his whole story was just, as far as me being friends with Brad, I was friends with Brad before I was friends with you. We weren't super good friends. The first couple years we were just kind of, and Brad and I did have kind of a few years where we didn't talk much.
Yeah.
As we became adults and I got married, and I remember, there's probably been months and years that I haven't talked to Brad, and that seems crazy to think as being as close of friends as we are and have been pretty solid for the last 10 years, that there was a stretch where we weren't probably as close, and it wasn't anything against one another. It just, we kind of grew apart. He had a lot of jobs where he worked overnight. I remember one time he worked overnight at Walmart, and I worked during the day, and occasionally we'd run into each other, or he worked at McDonald's in Walmart, and we'd run into each other. But it was there was a stretch where we didn't talk much, but I don't know. What do you want to get into? Like, what?
So going back to Brian, the main reason I think me and him, again, the connection of our ex-girlfriends, we went to prom with Brian.
Yeah.
And that was fun too. Like that prom.
Well, not his ex-girlfriend.
He married. So his wife now was friends with our exes, but so he's with her. But Travis and I were out of school for several years. I was several years. You were a couple years, and we went to our girlfriends at that time senior prom, and we stole the frickin' show.
I like to think we did. Maybe it's. I often wonder. You know how you have those memories of just cool things that happened, and you wonder if they were as cool as they were.
I think it was.
This is one I like to feel like it is, and occasionally I'll have to ask my sister if it was, because she was there. And she was like, "Yeah, it was cool."
This is like if you all saw a movie
It's Footloose.
from the '90s, so like
It's Footloose, dude.
Footloose.
1984 Footloose.
I agree, or like not
Maybe
Never
not
Been
as serious.
Kissed, but like 10 Things. Like if you imagine a bunch of teenagers in school in the '90s, and they got out on the dance floor at prom, that's what this reminds me of.
Well, it was the fact that everybody's dancing, and I'm not a dancer. I'm still not a dancer.
Which
For
this
one
was
night I was a
2004.
dancer. Yeah.
I know I'm referencing the '90s, but I'm just thinking of '90s movies.
Yeah. So everybody's dancing and bumping and grinding like a slow jam,
Yeah.
doing their thing. Typical prom. But then the way that it developed, Thomas is like, I'm going to go ask the DJ to put on Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Beat It. And we're going to get this party started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I remember you sneaking off. And then all of a sudden I remember hearing the dong, 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 And we were kind of still dancing in our own little circles, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, my sisters had this. I don't remember if it was what it was. It was some type of Michael Jackson tutorial video. I don't remember if it was part of a video game or what it was, but I remember them practicing Michael Jackson dance moves around this time. And so I might have busted out a little move or something. Probably really pathetic, sad looking, but enough to, I guess, get people's attention. And so we started doing our thing, kind of going back and forth. Well, all of a sudden,
Circle began.
circle began. So
People
we
just
actually
started crowding around.
all of a sudden the crowd floods out, and everybody gets to jump in and showcase. Never been a part of this in my life. Thought this was only in movies.
Yeah.
Right. So me and Thomas get out there. I bust out a little MJ. He busts out a little MJ. We mirror a little robot.
Yeah.
And everybody's cheering everybody on. It's the coolest thing ever. Like I said, I'm not a dancer, but it was totally one of those moments where everybody is just having a good time and not being judgy. And like, there was no cameras back then.
Yeah.
No camera phones.
Yeah.
Everybody's
So there's
in the
no
moment.
video of this, but
There's no video. But supposedly, and like I said, I've asked Tasha a couple times, like, you remember when we started that dance circle? And she's like, yeah, it was awesome. And so everybody, one would get out, one would pop in, bust a move, everybody cheer them on. It was really cool. That was one of the funniest. By that time I had opened up, we were all
Yeah.
funny, and we thought we were funny, or we were approachable guys, and we would be friends with everybody and be loud. But that was out of the norm for me, definitely.
Yeah.
I could see dancing in public anytime, anywhere. That's one of those things that drew me to you, how open you were to being loud and funny. But I was still kind of like, eh. But that might have been one of the moments where I just let it go, and it was a lot of fun, and what a blast. That was so much fun.
It's funny because sometime in my life, I don't know when it was, because when I was a young teenager, middle school and elementary school, like I did struggle with like embarrassment on things,
I
and I
did.
guess
100%.
at some point I had so much embarrassment that I just didn't care anymore, because with situations like that, it was nothing for me. When me and you go play basketball somewhere, it's nothing for me to be like, "Oh, skin up! We're doing shirts and skins." I'd just completely take off all my clothes.
I used to cry laughing when you'd skin up.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was so much fun. Make everybody uncomfortable.
Had no whatever the word I'm looking for is. I wasn't
No
worried
shame.
about it. No shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to Brian, so Brian is at that time with Shayna, and he is going to Western,
Yeah.
and he needed a place to stay whenever he was traveling back and forth. So he started staying with me.
Yeah.
I gave him a key and everything. So Brian was basically
That was an awesome time.
kind of live-in roommate at the house at Caneyville. So that kind of started that relationship.
Yeah, you guys got closer then.
Yep, for sure. And then, so I touched on the last episode there that we wanted to discuss some of the NASCAR trips. So I remember you kind of getting me into NASCAR.
Yeah.
I watched some, but I never really had that like burn for it. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched it with you, and we would have fun watching Daytona 500 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't into it. And I remember it was the Talladega. It was the April. No, it was the fall Talladega race, I think, because it was cool. And it was the fall Talladega race, David was down there.
Yeah.
It got rained out on a Sunday. So he calls you Sunday night, says, "Hey, I got
Sunday evening, right? I just got off work because I used to work early, and I just got off work that day.
So he calls you, got a couple tickets. Would you want to come?"
And I couldn't even put it together. I was like, "What do you mean? I'm down here."
Yeah.
I was like, "You want me to drive up there, down there?" And he's like, "No, we're coming home." He's like, "I'm coming home to get you all, and then you guys were all going to come back," which I thought was ridiculous. It's a 7-hour drive.
Yeah, 7-hour drive. They didn't get there until what? Probably midnight.
It was late. I mean, it was really, really late because we met him down there at his mom and dad's.
So they get there super late, and we literally take off driving to Talladega. You know, I'd probably been having a normal Sunday, probably worked or whatever, did everything normal that day, hadn't had any sleep, and we take off driving.
I had to find somebody to cover for me the next day. I had to switch somebody because I just didn't want to miss it. Yeah. I was like, this is cool. Like, he's coming all the way back to get us. We're going to go for free. Monday race. So I remember I called. I don't remember who I called. I had somebody work for me because I was supposed to work. And yeah, he drove all the way back. He slept the whole way back, if you remember. I think most of the way. And then me, you, and Daniel, his brother, we chatted the whole way and just had a great time.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, that was probably the first time I had been with Daniel that long enough to like talk to him. You know, he was always there when I was friends with David. He was older. I always looked up to him. Always thought a lot of him. He would hang out with us and stuff and watch races and, you know, but we just had such a good time driving all the way back there. And then I remember we got there. We pulled into where we would normally camp. We had a couple hours to the race, right?
Yeah.
And we just crashed out.
Yeah, like I remember laying on the ground outside the vehicle. Yeah. I got up next to the vehicle because I was worried if I laid somewhere else, like somebody was going to run me over. So I remember like laying under the car.
Yeah, there was cars coming and going. Yeah.
But yeah, we just laid there and we took a little bit of a nap and then we went to the race.
Yeah, nothing crazy like that time as far as any partying.
Yeah, we didn't do any partying or camping or nothing. We just slept to try to rest right before the race. We went to the race, and I think that race and that experience started my love, like an actual where I was into NASCAR. It wasn't just a
so
thing
that was the first one you went to, wasn't it?
That was the very first race I ever went to.
I remember being jacked because you were going to get to experience it. Because I remember it was, I think he called me. I know I just got home because Mom, I know where I was. I was in Mom and Dad's house on Sunbeam Road, and he's like, I got a couple extra tickets. He's like, do you think Thomas would want to go? And I was like, well, probably, you know. And I remember being jacked because I was like, you're going to enjoy this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always told you if you got there, you would like it better. And back then, that was when it was still booming, 100,000 plus there.
Oh, man. They had the backstretch open still. That's what we had.
We sat on the front, though.
Oh, we sat on the front.
He had backstretch tickets, but his other two tickets he got were front. Well, we all got to sit on the front because not everybody came back.
Gotcha.
And they weren't, like, monitoring it, you know. But we watched that one. But that would fire up a couple-year stretch where we went.
Yeah, we were going to almost every race, if not
Talladega.
every race. Yeah,
because it was cheap. It was $60 for the whole weekend,
to sit on that back side.
Two races usually.
The trip back was funny too because I still remember. I'll never forget this. We're on our way back and we're looking for somewhere to eat and we stop at all places McDonald's. And
that was the legend of David only loving McDonald's. That's where that was born.
You and I are very similar. If we are outside of Litchfield, we do not want to eat it somewhere in Litchfield. Like give me a burger. If it's gonna be cheap, give me a Burger King. Give me something. You know?
We were probably less picky then, but we always had it in mind. Like let's try something that because even when we would go to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
When we were, in those previous relationships and doing that for a couple years, we always wanted to eat like somewhere that wasn't home. And but I remember David he was always like, let's grab McDonald's. Yeah. And he's not like that now. It's funny. I still give him crap about that when I see him. It's like one of the things I'll be like, you still eat McDonald's or whatever? And he's like, no. His wife like opened him up to a whole new world, but it only took him like 40 years. But back then he was always wanting to grab McDonald's. We were tearing up those spicy chickens for $1 probably back then.
Oh man, those spicy chickens are worth it though.
Yeah, he and I used to eat McDonald's all the time. It's so funny. We would eat, it was just like me and you. We weren't chasing women or nothing. We were just going to McDonald's, grabbing a sack of spicy chickens and playing NASCAR 04 or whatever. But When was it the very next trip when we took my friend Matthew down there?
It was the next trip when we took Matthew and we met Brian, who was already down there,
Yeah.
and him and Chad went
Chad
together.
might have been down there. Was Chad down there? He was down there a couple times. I went.
Yeah, I know he went a couple times, but I can't. I know Brian drove one time. So set the stage for you. One time, Brian went and he drove in the Jeep, and when I say he brought a TV so we could play like NASCAR and stuff, and he had like an inverter. And when I say he brought a TV, it was like the
like
big
a big
old
fat TV,
the big old fat 32
early
inch
2000s. Yeah,
TV.
so it was whatever he could grab, probably the TV out of his room.
And he had I remember he had the little tailgate thing popped to the gate in the back.
That was so cool.
TV out and just playing NASCAR there.
I remember, guys would come up and we'd just play him. But I remember meeting him down there, and so a couple of trips I get mixed up.
Yeah,
and for obvious reasons for me, because I got absolutely blitzed on one of them. So the trip with Matthew, I remember we were taking my dad's Impala, that black Impala.
Yep.
And you were driving, I think, at the time, or Matthew was. Shout out to Matthew. I saw him. He actually came down for my papa's funeral back when he passed away, so I got to talk to him, and we actually talked about this trip. So at this point, my friend Matthew is a childhood friend that our families, our dads were in the military together, so I've known him since he was tiny. He's my sister's age, and our families used to hang out for years together, always stayed in touch. At this point, I hadn't talked to him or seen him for a long time, but we had kind of reconnected and started hanging out some. Him and his brother would come down from Louisville. I think they bought a vehicle from me, so that kind of got us going again. But he was young. He was really young.
Like
and,
underage young.
Yeah. But anyway, so he decides to go to the race with us, because this is when we're kind of hanging out again. And so at this point, I think you were driving or he was driving. Probably you. We get stuck probably around Nashville in traffic.
I feel like he was driving at this time, maybe. I don't know,
I think he was, because I think you might have.
One time I'm sitting in the back with you, and y'all had that little. So the Impala had this.
The fold down thing
for where you put your arm, a little fold down where we have a cup holder. Well, behind that folding thing, you could zip it or unlatch something.
You could get to the trunk.
You could get to the trunk.
Yeah.
And we had things in the trunk.
We had booze in the trunk. So that was the thing we did. So even when I went with David and Chad, the first time I went to Talladega with them, it wasn't the first time I'd been to Talladega, but first time I went with David and Chad, we met Daniel down there. That was a couple years before this. And you stopped and you got booze. I mean, we were young guys. Well, I didn't drink a lot, but I would drink on special occasions, and this was a special occasion. So we had picked up some frou frou girl drinks.
When we say frou frou girl, these were like the most
I wasn't
absurd things.
I
Hurricane, I remember.
Yeah.
And, like,
they were
Apple
down home
Pucker
punch.
and,
Down home punch. They were the Jack Daniels. So we got stuck in traffic. So I don't know who came up with the idea.
I'm sure it was me.
I'm sure it was you. You're like, get in there and get those drinks out of there. So we start drinking these high sugar alcoholic drinks. And I feel like I stayed in the back the whole time, so I feel like I drank quite a bit of them.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way down there. Just kind of take one out every once in a while. So we get down there. Of course, the party's going on in the campgrounds. If anybody knows anything about Talladega, it's a party, And the camping is especially a party. So we get down there. We meet David. He's already had a few. God. He's already started
David,
up.
we don't want to go in this.
Brian wasn't probably drinking. I don't feel like he might have had one or two. I don't think he drank that much. Still, wasn't necessarily his thing. But we get down there, and I'm already, I've already pre-gamed, if you want to call it that. Well, we start drinking again. Probably no. I wasn't as seasoned or didn't recognize how to drink, how to pace, what not to mix, and we're just doing whatever. And we go walk around and do the stuff you do at Talladega. We won't go into that, but it's a lot of stuff that gets you canceled for now.
Yeah. We'd never live it.
Yeah, and it comes time to settle into the camp. And usually what that consists of back then was we would just have tents.
Yeah.
Whatever David could set up. David was the outside guy. Me, I'm like, ugh. There's not a bed, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, everybody's got their tents, basically sleeping on the ground. We've got a fire made. Well, we get into the tent, and all I remember is I started feeling bad, instantly got sick, threw up. I was pretty intoxicated. Well, Matthew had been drinking as well. We let him drink. He was with us. We're trying to take care of him. He started as soon as he heard me. I think that's how it went.
Yeah.
Yakking, and I'm a
All body.
throw up from the all body.
Yeah, all body.
Like, yeah, it's like the projectile. Like it blows my freaking blood vessels in my eyes. Usually, like the next day I'm just sore everywhere. So I start. Well, I hear him. Well, David, and his motherly instincts takes over. He starts grabbing bags, trying to help me. Well, then now Matthew's over here throwing up, and we're just going to town. I mean, I threw up all night. And so I still have memory of thinking I've ruined this, you know, because I've never been a good hangover person. So we get up the next morning. It's Saturday. We've got tickets for the truck race and the cup race. Cup race is Sunday. Truck race, we're getting ready to go over. Beautiful weather. Everybody's waking up, and it's like, you know, everybody's a zombie that next day. You see people, and they're just like nursing hangovers and everything. And so I get up and you know, start trying to rouse up, and I'm still getting sick. And so it gets time to go over to the track, and I'm sitting on a cooler, and I throw up, and it's that yellow stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was on an empty stomach. Because again, I didn't know just drink water, moron. Drink a lot of water before you go to bed. You're okay, for the most part. I remember I throw up that, is it bile or whatever? That's just tastes awful. And I swear to you, I don't know what an out-of-body experience is like, but it was like the demons left my body.
Yeah, you had an exorcism right there.
I was relieved from this hangover. I had a pounding headache. Everything just left my body. I've never experienced anything like that again. Literally threw up everything out of my system that I could, and the demon left. And I remember Brian being like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I am. Let's go."
Yeah. I wish y'all could understand
dying,
what I saw, because when this happens, he literally gets up off the cooler and is like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
Like, completely different person.
Well,
We get to the track, and I'm like, you know, I'm always hungry. So we get to the track, and he's over here like, "Let's get some barbecue sandwiches."
yeah. I got a fried bologna sandwich.
Yeah, fried bologna. And I'm like, "Are you sure?" But
Dude.
he pounds it back.
I you know, we don't, you know, I'm not a big drinker. Wasn't a big drinker then. It was something I just did occasionally. And that was one of a couple times that I got really, really bad sick and was like, you know, I took this too far.
Yeah.
But you know, I was miserable, and I don't know how it happened, but that last one just got out of my system. We had a great time the rest of the day. We went and watched the truck race. I didn't touch any alcohol that night. I'm trying to think if that was the night that I did do something else, because we
I don't think it was.
I didn't drink.
Actually, I know. It might have. I think it might have been that one.
Well, I didn't drink. I know I didn't drink that night, but I know we hung out at the campfire.
Yeah.
And I know that
was the night me and
some of y'all went and took showers.
Brian, it was me and Brian, and maybe was Brianna with us?
Yeah, she was there that time.
So we went and took showers, and then we went to.
I didn't take a shower the whole weekend.
We got Chicken Littles from KFC. We found Talladega. If y'all ever been, there's nothing around. And
we got
KFC
a bunch of KFC,
and we got some cheddar wurst or something like that.
Yeah.
So I can't. That was that.
We
night.
feasted that night because I was ready to replenish my system because I had lost my every function. But I remember you all going. You brought back KFC, and I was like, I had never ate. I still haven't had KFC that good. And I remember just sitting around the fire, and I think the picture. Brian used to have a picture of me, and it used to be, I think it used to be out in his house somewhere, but it was a picture of me sitting there, and you could see that I'd just
there's
passed away the day before.
Four of us, or there's four of us, or three of something, and like you can tell, like our faces are burnt, and like we're just awful.
But the problem is I get a couple times mixed up because there was one other time that, and it may have been the same time. We would have to rely on Brian. I feel like it might have been the same time, but it might have been the next night. But we had a fire going. Usually everybody just had their little fires, and occasionally people would come and go, and we're all just chilling. And I don't even think I was drinking. I think this was the same time. I think it was Saturday night. The next night, I was like, I'm not drinking ever again. You know.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, it was the second night of another time that we went that I swore off drinking. But a guy comes up, and he's like, hey, what's up? And he's an older guy, and we're just kind of like, I remember David was like, I don't know about this dude. Like, he seems kind of sketchy, He's like, can I hang out with you guys? He was just older, he's a drifter. He's a Talladega drifter.
I bet you he didn't even have tickets to the race.
Yeah, he was a Talladega drifter, man. He just came out of the ground or something. I don't know where the guy came from. And we're all sitting there hanging out, and he's like, he pulls out something to smoke on. And I remember none of us had ever tried. I'd never smoked, and still I've only done it a couple times since then. And again, we're young guys, and at this point I think I was single, and I think I was in one of those weird stages of my life where I just wanted to do something different. So I remember looking at David, and maybe you, and I think y'all were like, one of y'all was like, no,
don't do it.
Like, you all just totally, the cool, chill, laid back vibes just vanished for a minute. We're all like pretty easygoing. Like you said, we didn't run around a lot. We didn't drink a lot. We didn't party. We weren't partying guys,
We got together and watch movies and play video games.
The guy was like, is this all right? And I was like, yes, it's all right. And I remember them being like, no. And he passed it around, and I took it and took a hit and took a few hits, and you all didn't. And I remember, okay, so I think that was a different time, because that was when those girls
that David
a couple girls showed up. Another time where we were hanging out with attractive girls that we didn't try to capitalize on, quote unquote. But
you and I kind of kept our distance.
Yeah,
which I mean, we may have been dating
because they were really intoxicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to set the stage, he referred to this guy as a Talladega drifter. I would assume that these girls were something Talladega as well.
Well, they were there with somebody, and so this would have been a separate time. I think this was when we went with that girl that you worked with. I think this has been the last time. I think. But anyway, this was when I took a few hits off that, when I smoked that with that guy, because I remember that night I laid down, and I remember David popping into the tent and I almost kicked him in the mouth because I was kind of out of it, and I thought that I guess I thought he was maybe somebody those girls were with, because these girls had hung out with us at our campfire. And what I remember about this was me and you left. This is when we ate the hot dogs, I think. Me and you left to go get some supplies or something. And when we come back, David was blitzed.
Yeah.
And these girls, one of them was, she didn't have very many clothes on.
Yeah.
From what I remember. And gosh, I don't know how much of this should get out.
For me and you, because we were
these girls were pretty lit up.
Me and you had not been drinking or anything.
Yeah.
So for me and you coming back to the atmosphere that we came into after we came back from wherever to get hot dogs or whatever supply run we
were like, what?
We were kind of weirded out. Like, it was almost like,
and then we didn't know who
get out of this situation.
We didn't know who those girls that came with, or if they had boyfriends or whatever. And so that's what made me paranoid, on top of me having maybe indulged that night.
I don't like confrontations, but I do feel like I am a protector of sorts sometimes. Like, if I'm going to have to fight to get out of a situation, I don't think I would shy away from it.
Yeah.
So I would, like you,
we didn't know,
though. Am I going to have to take up for David here, or what am I going to have to do?
He was having a good time. I mean, they weren't doing anything crazy. He was just partying with these girls, and if David ever listens to this or anything, that, I think we've talked about this in front of his wife, this moment. But he was just having a good time. They were all having a good time, but they were obviously, they had, by the time me and Thomas had left and come back in a matter of no time, they had somehow just got blitzed.
Yeah.
And it just made it kind of a situation where I guess we were sober until that evening, I guess, when I smoked or whatever. But and that's not even the half of Talladega, you know, as far as the things you can get into down there.
I want to put it in perspective for y'all though, because this was 2000, probably 4 or 5, somewhere in that range.
5, 6.
So this is 2004 or 5. In 2023, probably, me, Travis, and Brad go down. So almost 20 years later, we go down to Talladega, and let me assure you, for people in their almost 40s at the time, I was probably 40, and they were probably approaching 40.
Everybody we saw,
it was 100% different scenario. We stayed in no camping.
I was like, I am not camping. I am not.
I brought my CPAP machine. There was no drinking,
no distributing beads.
Yeah, no bead distribution. There was let's go to. You and I are so into racing. We were like, hey, let's go to the garage and see if we can see some cool people.
I remember when we were walking to the track and we would see the people that we would have seen 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In the campgrounds, and we were just like, I remember being like, I bet they had a rough night.
Yeah,
like I bet he feels like crap. Yeah, and being like, "Ooh, I'm glad I don't. I'm not worried about that."
Now we still were focused on food.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Oh yeah,
I remember that. Remember they've got that new infield thing that we went to, and I was like, God, I've got to get me some pizza. I've got to get me some barbecue.
Gosh, but those trips were a lot of fun. I know it's a lot of. Stuff like you said you wouldn't do now,
I think there were four. For me, there were 4 trips. We had the one where it was crazy quick, and then we had 3 after, and then I had the one 3 or 4 years ago.
That sounds about right. Like I said, well, I went down there. Not to get into NASCAR history, it was probably boring for everybody, but I've been to Talladega. I went to Talladega in '99 with my grandparents and my aunt, and then I went back in '04. That was the first time I went with David and Chad, and that was the first time I got to experience the party, and then we went back, when we did that, I think it was '05, maybe both races, and then a race or two in '06. But it was a good little stretch and just having a good time, and it was out of the norm for me. Like I said, I wasn't partying all the time. So when I went down there, I might indulge a little bit back then and had a good time, but strange cast of characters that went with us. It was like a random, because we were hanging out,
I had Heather that went. Yeah. She went to church with me, and then we were doing something else together around that time, and that's why there was no relationship. Yeah. We just went down and hung out. She was a NASCAR. She was a huge Casey Kane fan at that time, and she went with us. And then, like you said, Matthew went with us.
Yep.
A couple of times Brian was there. One time Chad was there.
Yep.
It was just different varieties.
Brianna went that one time. Yep. That was the summer that me and David were hanging out with her and just hanging out with her. Just, we'd go watch movies and stuff. And she went with us down there. But that was some of my, that's some good memories. Good hanging out times and just, doing stuff that we normally didn't do. We were like sports video game nerds. Like we'd get together and watch a race, and we'd play NASCAR Thunder for hours.
Yeah.
And then, so it was pretty lighthearted, like nerdy, not nerdy, but lame stuff. I mean, we were if you from the outside looking in, we weren't out chasing women or nothing or drinking, but we were having like when I talk to David now, all we talk about is how we played seasons of college football.
Yeah.
And how if we ever did anything again where we got to spend an evening together, that's what we would do, because that was the most fun. Yeah. And you might look back on it now in retrospect and be like, man, I could have had a lot more girlfriends or a lot more fun times doing that. But then I'm like, I did exactly what I wanted to do. I played video games, hung out with my best friends, talked about whatever, spending hours just, talking and hanging out and, stuff you don't get to do now. I mean,
you would get off of work at Captain D's. We would come back to my house, and literally a lot of times it would just be, I would sit down in the recliner, you'd lay down on the couch, we would turn Tombstone on and fall asleep. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out Tombstone, Terminator 2.
Yeah, we had our rotation of movies. Yeah, Terminator 2 almost all the time. Tombstone.
I never could make it past a certain point in Terminator 2 before I'd fall asleep.
We'd watch a lot of the Amityville Horror was one, but what was the other? Not The Platinum Dunes.
Yeah,
movies.
like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
We you know, I didn't go watch movies a lot. I never was I was thinking about this the other day, like trying to think of subjects and things, and I do want to dive into movies and movies that we enjoy together. But you and I watched a lot of movies together. I feel like you're probably the person I've watched the most movies with. We would just go watch movies, and I'd fall asleep. I remember one time going and watching The Grudge with you and Rudy and somebody else, and I slept through the whole thing. I still have never seen that movie. You know, that was my thing, falling asleep. I know I was probably a lame hangout because I'd come over and I'd be
quickly fall asleep.
I'd be jacked up and be like, Thomas, we're gonna do karaoke and we're gonna do all this lame stuff, and then I'd be like, I'd just be out, just Rip Van Winkle, just out on the couch.
So another funny story. Talk about sleeping. At that time, Mom. So going back to 2003, 2004 time frame, Mom and Dad did not live in that Caneyville house. So it was just me. You would come over. Different ones would come over and spend the night. Well, some would spend the night and they would sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
For some reason, me and you always went to the bed together.
Pause. Yeah.
Nothing went on.
Nothing was more awkward than like occasionally when your dad would come down.
Yeah, that's
he
what I
would
was
come in the
gonna
house
do.
and I'd be sleeping in the bed with you.
we would have our own blankets, but we would sleep on the. I kept
Your bed
it
was
cool.
so cozy and
yeah,
cold.
And I kept
It's
it
like a
cold in
cave.
there, so it was nice to sleep in my room. But it would be funny because Dad would, Wreck-It Ralph open the door. Hey, what y'all doing? And of course we'd be in bed together, and it
He'd
would
be like,
look,
y'all gay in here together?
Yeah. So it looked so inappropriate, but that's the way it was.
I would be. I remember. It felt like I would start on the couch sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'd be like that little brother, like,
Scoot over.
I'd creak the door up and be like, Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas?
Can I come in bed?
It's hot in here and the mice are in here. Can I sleep with you? Like, I just...
Oh, the mice.
we
We've
would,
talked about that on here, too.
yeah.
The world's worst.
It was so funny, man. We, just... You kept it so cold, dude. It was my jam. It was like the cave.
You bring Rudy up. I went to lunch with Ashley the other day, and Rudy and I were talking, reminiscing about stuff. Do you remember when me and you and him went, and I think it might have been Brad. I won't think it was Brad. We went to Rough River to play golf.
Yeah.
And Rudy at that time was like, I'm pretty sure he was 16 or 17. I do not think he was old enough. I don't think he was 18 yet.
He's a couple years... He's only a couple years younger than me, right?
He should be the same age as Brad. So
Yeah.
I don't think he was super old yet. And I remember him driving the golf cart
Acting
and
crazy.
like ramping us at
Yeah.
Rough River. Like literally at one point his
Rudy was a terror.
golf
back then.
cart was on top of our golf cart.
Yeah. Rudy was, I remember playing football with Rudy a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember this one time, he probably doesn't remember this, but he was bigger back then. I remember there was this kid just being a jerk. We were playing down in Caneyville, and this kid was like trying to hurt people. And I remember Rudy had the ball, and this kid tried to tackle him, and Rudy just stopped and hit that kid, and that kid flew like 20 feet in the air. And then after that, it was like target practice on that kid. Everybody was running him over, but Rudy was just a beast. He was a beast
Yeah.
at basketball. I remember the one we used to box
Yeah.
in your
We
bedroom?
brought that up too because I still
I didn't want to
blame
box
him to
Rudy
this
because he
day.
was so strong.
Yeah, I'm like, Rudy, you remember that time you broke my window?
Yeah.
He busted
Yeah.
Corey through the window.
yeah. We did stupid stuff. I mean, we
Yeah.
were just we would have our little things, whether it was the 5 seconds we played golf, and that was for me. I was playing golf with other guys trying to get into it, but the boxing, but there was a little cast of characters that would come and go, but man, it just seems like so long ago.
Oh yeah,
that we used to do all that.
Man,
I mean,
we're talking now 20, like I said, 20, 23,
yeah,
24 years. I mean, well, it ain't been 24, but it's been a long time, and it's crazy to think it's been that long. And the people, you have friends that come and go, but we've had, like I said, we've had consistent ones. Us four for sure.
yeah.
Me and Brad, you talked about you and Brad kind of having a little separation. There was a time where Brad and I were not friends,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we thankfully got over that and back to
Yeah, that was
normal.
tough.
But it got a little weird there for a while. But like I said, I DJ'd his wedding, and that was kind of around the time we got close
Reconnected.
again. Reconnected again, and I'm glad everything's good now. But yeah, it's funny how we've had different ones just come and go, but we've kept our normal, consistent cast
You know
of
what-
characters.
I just burped. That's gross. You know, you talk about like the things that could have changed everything. I mean, we a lot. Our friendship was really when it was taken off. We were dating best friends.
Yeah,
That thing could have went sour because
Yeah.
it did go sour for the relationships. You know,
Yeah.
but we could have easily split then. I mean, you know, and it's probably because we're guys.
yeah,
Guys are just more easygoing. I feel like I have this conversation with Maggie because she's had friends come and go, and girls are tough. You know what I mean? Like I think they hold grudges, and they, especially in this day and age,
yeah,
there's more competition. But and I tell her it's too bad you're not a boy because guys I feel like even still maybe, and I might be wrong, but when you had a friend, you just wanted to keep them
yeah,
as a friend, and a lot of it was probably because when I was a kid, the friends were rotating all the time because I moved a lot.
yeah,
We talked about that, you know, living in the military. Once you became friends with somebody, you could pretty much guarantee that you would be changing.
One of you all were leaving,
Yeah.
you know. So
And so you would spend the night with kids, and for a couple years you would be inseparable, and then, you know, they're gone.
Yep.
And that's it. You didn't have phones, and you didn't talk after that. So when you had a friend, you just wanted to keep them, and I've been fortunate to keep, you know, 3 good friends for years now. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I'd hope that our children will get the same thing. When Maggie, you know, she has a couple friends that she's close with, that she spends a lot of time with, and I'm like, gosh, I hope in 20 years she's still friends
Yeah.
with them, because it is special, you know.
and I think I know Maggie doesn't get this ability because none of us have girls.
Yeah.
But like for me, it was a month or 2 ago. Brian called me up and was like, "Hey, can Aiden go to Beach Bend Park with Keegan?" And like there was something. It wasn't just the fact that they were including Aiden, but it was something about the fact that it's another generation of our families being friends.
Yeah.
That kind of hit me in the heart a
Yeah.
little bit. You know what I mean?
that-
And I was
dude, that
kinda
would have.
like, man, that's cool.
I do get a little like, I'm not gonna say jealous, but sometimes I'm like, man, it is cool that you've got boys, and the boys are all kind of close,
Yeah.
and the same age. You know,
I do wish they hung out more than what
yeah.
they do, because like Maverick and Aiden was trying to. He added all of them on Xbox or different things to play video games with them, but Aiden, he's a little aggressive on games, so I'm sure
Yeah.
that kind of pushes him away from not wanting to play
He's
with
like
them.
me.
But
He's
I,
like me when we used to play.
he
Just get
gets pretty
aggravated.
brutal, but
Yeah,
but I do wish that there was a bigger bond between him and Maverick and Cruz and Keegan and
Yeah.
Wyatt and Holden obviously are a lot younger, but even if it was just them 4 being able to bond a little bit, that'd be
yeah. It's neat to think, you know. If they
could you
could all
imagine if
hang
they're all like sitting here 20 years from now watching NASCAR? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah, they
carrying
probably
on
won't
their
be
own
watching that.
podcast?
I feel like NASCAR, there's not a lot of,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I think it was a stretch to get you guys involved in it. I mean, Brian was a NASCAR guy, you know, he watched it back then, but to get you and Brad, like, involved in it, you know, it was probably a stretch. You know, 'cause
What's crazy though is, and I'm not. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but fast forward to now, I feel like I'm probably the most hardcore into it. Like as far as watching all of them. Not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I try to watch all the races. Yeah,
Oh,
I've
I'm
missed
still-
a couple of the You're
I'm still
only
invested.
missing them because
Yeah.
you don't have the channels.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. On NBC, it's a bummer, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that, you know, I was thinking about it on the way up here, coming over here. I was like, crap, college football season's
Yeah.
started, and I don't care anything about it.
Yep.
I usually don't care about NFL. I'd never care about NBA. College basketball in the last 5 years, like 5-10 years, I haven't cared much about. Like NASCAR is the one thing.
Yeah.
It all ties back to just loving it since I was a kid.
And that's one thing that has kept us all, regardless of how often we hang out throughout the year, we've done it more this year than we've ever have, in my opinion. Because, well, since we've all been married, we've hung out more in 2025, I feel like, than we have in a long time because of this podcast and other things. But normally, even if we don't hang out any other time, we're at least getting together for the Super Bowl or the Daytona 500. It's just every year we try to make that
look
work.
forward to those moments so much, man.
Yep.
When we get to talk about, I hope we never stop doing that. It's like the Friendsgiving thing. We've only done that for a couple years.
Oh, it's so awesome though.
And I know it's hard to do it.
Yeah.
And I know it's difficult and everything, but I don't want to let that go. Like,
it's important.
If
to
everybody
have
can
friends in
do
your
it, I
life,
hope we continue to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we're older now to where, I feel like, I mean, you need to keep your friends and everything, but I feel like we, even if it's difficult to get the kids together, I feel like the kids are going to get older and it's going to be, eventually they're going to get out of the house, and then, it should be easier to do more things together, maybe as friends, but I don't know where I'm going with it, but I hope we keep doing things together, keep watching races, keep, watching an occasional game or whatever. I'd love to go to a game. Me and Brad was talking about how much fun it would be to go to a football game or something, even if it was like a Western football game.
I almost brought it up last week because whenever I was on I bought Ashley for her birthday or Christmas or something. We'll figure it out. But I bought her Lindsey Sterling tickets again.
Yeah.
We went last year, and when I was on Ticketmaster, like looking at the different things, I saw the Tulane or whoever was this past Saturday, the Kentucky game.
Yeah,
it was whatever those tickets were on there, and they were like $35, and I was like,
oh, really?
I was almost tempted to be like, sorry if we're boring y'all.
Yeah.
I was almost tempted to get, because we've had fun. That one time we went to a Kentucky game. It was a night game.
Yeah, it was cold.
And we went to
So we went to Hooters.
We went to Hooters, and
Yeah.
me and you were going to eat all those oysters. We ordered all these oysters, like 50-some oysters,
Yeah.
and they never brought them. So
Me and Brad drank like 3 pitchers of beer. I was
Yeah.
that would have been a nightmare of. We may have not made it to the game if I would have ate oysters and drank
yeah.
pitchers of beer. Like,
What was
might have been a disaster.
What was brutal for me that night was we'd ate all them wings or whatever I had, and then we get to the game, and I got like a Philadelphia cheesesteak. Like I just kept on eating.
It was real bad weather. It was real cold or something.
Yeah, it was brutal.
But it's fun to go to those games. And
I like
and
it
to
when
do
it's
things.
cold too, like that.
I do too.
though.
That's the best time. I would love to do something like that. I know it's tough, especially the ones that have. We've got one child,
Yeah.
Same with you all, and I know the boys are busy on Brian's side of it, but it would be cool to do something like that. Just getting together, man. When we got together for the race this year and it was rained out and we played college football, I was
Yeah.
like, this is 2004 in my mom and dad's basement.
Yeah.
All over again. 2005, like, that took me back to those days playing 4-player video games in college football and just having a good time. Especially now that I'm older and I don't get mad about it. I'm just like, this is fun. I don't
Yeah.
care if I lose by 70. Like, I'm doing childish things. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
it's fun to get together and do that stuff, and like I said, we've kept a good relationship. I know we've been talking about it, but going forward, you got married to Rachel. I was part of your wedding.
Yeah.
I got married to Ashley. You were part of my wedding. We just continue, building, and that's what it's about. So
Yeah, I don't even. It all. Brian and Shayna got married in 2007. I was talking about that. We were trying to figure out the date. I was talking with Rachel and her mom, and it was 7/7/07 when they got married. I was in his wedding too. So, and then he was in mine, and we have so many things we've shared together, and we've managed to make it work all these years and remain friends. And I feel like it's more important than ever.
Yeah.
You have so many things going on. It's just your mind's so occupied with paying bills and taking care of kids, trying to make sure they have everything they need. You need to remember that you've got people surrounding you that share the same things. Just like when Brian was upset the other day about that deal. That's something we can all relate to and all talk about and try to talk each other down from that. And it's just crazy that we're talking about things like that now.
Well, it's funny too.
Kids,
sometimes you think you're the only one going through it. I mean,
Yeah.
you've talked about problems that we have. You and I, we have sometimes we joke a lot, but sometimes you and I have some pretty deep conversations about stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it just from us talking about.
Yeah, you would think,
this.
well, all these guys do is
Oh,
sit around
this-
and
yeah, they're
joke
just-
around and
yeah.
play. But me and Travis, I would say I've got two close friends in my life that I share pretty much everything with.
Yeah.
You're number one, and I'd say Aaron Critchlow is probably number two. And me and him are just with each other all the time, so he just unfortunately has to hear me complain. But me and you get into some really deep stuff, and it's good. I want Brian and I want Brad to know that, hey,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for.
Let
If
it
you're
out.
dealing with a problem, we're here
Oh, yeah.
to try to help you with it,
Definitely.
But let's
You got time for one more?
what time we got? Hold on, guys.
I'm not doing
We're still podcasting here. I'm curious. So this is
47 minutes.
Yeah, 47.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's at 50 minutes.
Okay,
So
let's
so
close.
this is the end of this podcast. Thank you all for listening. That is, like I said, that's our story. There's there's a bunch of craziness in here that we left out, but there's also a bunch of good stuff we've left out too. Maybe one of these days we can dive into some more stuff. We had some good trips to Gatlinburg where we've raced NASCAR, go-karts. So we've talked a little bit about that in the past. And Travis,
Bros
one
being
thing
bros.
Travis and I has always agreed on is food.
Yeah.
We
think they
love
know
talking
that.
about food. Yeah. So just that's kind of our lifestyle, but and how we became who we are. But that is it. We're going to do one more podcast, but it is unrelated to this one,
go.
so no need to listen to this one first. But anyway, y'all have a good one.